With Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League being just a month away, I've decided to take a look back at Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice for this episode of Fumbled Fiction, a series where I review and then remake some of my favorite and least favorite films. You can guess what side of the spectrum this one lands on. The goal isn't always to make them better, just different.
I love it!
So we start off with a recap of Man of Steel, but from the perspective of Bruce Wayne, who, spoiler alert, ends up being Batman. Okay, so anyway, Alien 9/11 is happening, and people at Wayne Enterprises are only now starting to evacuate. I would have been out of there, but hey, that's just me. So Bruce runs over there to save them, but he's beat to the punch by, this guy. Superman currently punching through the building. It is some pretty dark stuff, but tastefully contextualizes the destruction porn of the last film. Bruce then finds a lost child.
Find your mom. Where is she?
Bruce is pissed, forming a personal vendetta against the Man of Steel here. It's a striking opening, but unfortunately leads into this 18 months later B-plot with Lois Lane. Ugh. She's meeting up with some African pimp. She then brings her boy along as a +1, but he's killing the vibe by taking pictures of everything. Sunglasses here thinks old boy's a nerd or a dweeb or something and breaks his camera, discovering a hidden tracker inside. Turns out old boy is actually a narc.
I can explain.
They big mad now and start killing everybody off, then burning the bodies to frame Superman for it. The African pimp then runs off with Lois Lane, but her man Superman shows up right in time to beat up some black people. Turns out those black people had families that loved them, and one of their widowed wives is suing Superman and pleading to Congress to stop him. Meanwhile in Gotham, Batman is busy being a big creep as a grown man in a leather suit hiding out in dark alleys. He even begins branding bad guys who were clearly just desperate blue-collar workers trying to make some extra money to feed their families. Batman's too busy beefing with Superman to consider something as silly as a moral compass, so he continues stalking Superman's socials to catch him slipping. We're then introduced to this dweeb Lex Luthor doing the silliest coked up Mark Zuckerberg impression throughout the entire movie. Ugh. The government have decided to partner with Lex, who discovered kryptonite is Superman's one weakness. He agrees to work with the feds in exchange of General Zod's body, the villain from the first movie. A little later, Lex holds a rich person gala where Superman, disguised as Superman with astigmatism, meets Bruce Wayne for the first time. The two then have a dick measuring contest with Lex Luthor as the referee. Batman goes back to terrorizing teenagers just smoking weed in parking lots when Superman steps up to stop him. Batman then tries to swerve out of the way but crashes the Batmobile. Fortunately, Bruce has really good car insurance. Unfortunately, Superman still wants all the smoke, so the titular fight begins. But not just yet. Before that, Batman rushes back to the Batcave to decipher some information he stole from Lex Luthor during the gala, revealing an ancient story named Wonder Woman exists alongside. Oh yeah, dude, there's also something to do with the jar of pee labeled as Grandma's peach tea that's sitting at discount Nancy Pelosi's lectern. It's all nonsense. Then boom, sudden explosion, everybody dies but Superman. This movie just has far too much going on. I just wanted to see Batman and Superman fight. When can we see Batman and Superman fight? Okay, so Superman confronts Lex Luthor after realizing he's the one that planted the bomb. Lex pulls out his trump card, which are not safe for work Polaroids of Superman's mom, Martha. In exchange of Martha's freedom, Superman must fight Batman because reasons. So we finally get the big fight everyone's been waiting for. Hell yeah.
Well, here I am.
Batman then gets the upper hand, but ultimately spares Superman because he says the magic word.
Kill Martha.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb, dude, but you get what you get. This movie is a mess even long before this. Anyway, the two then team up to defeat Doomsday, the secret experiment Lex Luthor's been working on using General Zod's body. Oh yeah, Wonder Woman shows up here for the money shot, and then back to Doomsday. Superman then grabs the kryptonite spear and sacrifices himself to stop Doomsday. Superman, yeah, so he big dead now, and Batman decides to recruit the rest of the Justice League so DC can have their own superhero team-up movie to compete with the MCU. This movie sucks. And it's not an opinion I'm alone in sharing. There's honestly just too much going on. So much so that I couldn't even fit any of the Dawn of Justice setup in the recap. In my remake of Batman v Superman, the first thing I'm doing is removing the subtitle altogether. No reference to the Justice League or inclusion of Wonder Woman needed. That way we keep the story focused and allow these characters a proper introduction in another film. I would then keep the opening scene exactly the same. It's incredibly intense and sets up the main conflict between Batman and Superman rather well. Batman's disdain and distrust in Superman is justified, and that alone should have been enough to pit the heroes against each other. However, the movie decides Lex Luthor is the reason Superman has to fight Batman, making the initial tension created by the mass casualties during the destruction of Metropolis ultimately irrelevant. I do think there's room for Lex Luthor though, just not the scenery-chewing, neurotic weirdo version we get in this movie. I think Jesse Eisenberg is terribly miscast as Lex Luthor, and his characterization in general is tonally a mess. It's the biggest problem I have with this entire movie. So this is my solution to that problem and all the other problems in this movie. Bruce watches Metropolis crumble and begins his plot to take down Superman. Months later, local politician Lex Luthor, now played by literally anyone else, but my dream casting is Bryan Cranston, is running on an anti-Superman political campaign, citing Superman's recent destruction of the whole city and all. Bruce Wayne becomes a key donor in Lex's campaign, believing the best way to take down Superman is through public opinion and legislation. Lex Luthor, however, is running against incumbent Senator Finch, who many believe to be a Superman sympathizer. Lex then holds a fundraising campaign and gala where he invites Bruce Wayne. Clark Kent is assigned by the Daily Planet to cover the event, but he's immediately suspicious of Lex Luthor. After the gala, Luthor candidly lets Bruce Wayne in on his secret plan. Lex intends on creating a line of military power suits, reverse engineered from the world engines from Man of Steel. The suits are then powered by kryptonite. Bruce takes a special interest in Luthor's plan and decides to personally fund and develop a prototype of the technology. Meanwhile, for political points, Senator Finch decides to summon Superman before Congress to hold him accountable for the destruction of Metropolis, not some random attack on an African village like the original film. As before though, the building explodes and Superman takes the blame. Superman then flees the scene, becoming a wanted fugitive. Batman is then convinced Superman must be stopped permanently and speeds up production on the robot suit. So we still get all that tire flipping, Batman montage, Batman butt from the original. Batman isn't the only one attempting to track down Superman, however. Lois Lane is especially concerned. In my remake, I'm removing all that nonsense about a lead bullet in Africa and making her involvement in the story much more personal. Lois's investigation of Superman's disappearance inevitably leads her to cross paths with Bruce Wayne. She begins to question Bruce's sudden relationship with Lex Luthor, leading her to discover Luthor's orchestrated the bombing of the Capitol to secure his Senate position and further drive the people against Superman. Lex then kidnaps Lois, leading to Superman coming out of hiding. Superman returns to save Lois, but is then confronted by Batman. As before, they fight and Batman gets the upper hand. As Batman goes to finish Superman off, he hesitates, allowing Superman to get a final word out. Superman pleads with Batman to save Lois, who is revealed to be pregnant with his child. Batman reluctantly agrees and heads to LexCorp to save Lois alongside Superman. Batman does what Batman does, and then Superman finds Lois. The two then confront Luthor, who admits to his involvement in the bombing, but blackmails Batman by threatening to reveal his identity as Bruce Wayne. Superman suggests they just kill Luthor, but Batman convinces Superman that Luthor would only become a martyr in death and further drive the people against Superman. So Luthor ultimately succeeds in the end, getting away with his crimes and setting him up as a threat for future films. Superman decides to then leave Earth for the sake of humanity, who have largely seen him as a threat throughout the course of his appearance here. He and Lois then embrace for the last time, promising to return only when mankind really needs him again. One thing I really liked about the original movie was the implications that arose from Superman's arrival on Earth. The idea of whether Superman poses an existential threat to humanity is very interesting and should have been at the heart of Superman's conflict and arc in a more clear way. Unfortunately, the movie's too busy with P-jar gags and found footage of the Flash to really tell a coherent story like that. I know my remake is a big departure from the original, but I would conclude it's a necessary one. Batman v Superman had a lot of potential and even succeeds in plenty ways, but in more ways than one, it's a bit of a mess, alongside its sequel Justice League. Hopefully the Snyder cut of Justice League ends up a pleasant surprise and doesn't leave me with a bitter taste of grandma's peach tea like Batman v Superman. So tell me what you think of my Jordan cut of Batman v Superman. I read every comment and respond to most, so go down there and get crazy, guys. Be sure to subscribe for more episodes of Fumbled Fiction and follow me on Instagram for exclusive content. Thanks, guys.